Well, we skipped spring and jumped right into summer here with a few days in the mid 30s last week. I guess it's officially the start of our hot, dry season, otherwise known as spring. I've put off planting my September bed while I wait for this ridiculous weather to settle down a bit. But let's take a look at what's growing around the garden at the moment. First up in the front garden, after that super hot day, I decided it was time to get the garlic out as it was really not handling that heat. I'm pretty happy with the harvest. This might be enough to get us through most of the year. I'll slowly dry this out and store it in a cool, dark place. Around February, if I still have any left at that stage, I'll probably start to blend it and freeze it before it starts to sprout. I've topped up the bed with some fresh compost and added a bit of my goodie mix to the bed, and I'm going to be planting that out this week. I did remove all the snow peas from this area and I harvested all of the broccoli that I'd planted out in June. I've left the stems there in case we get any of the side shoots. I think perhaps it might be a little bit too hot, but I have no plans for this bed over the warm season other than potentially doing a green manure crop, really resting the bed. I will pull out the beetroots when they're ready, of course, but I'll let everything else go to seed until I'm ready to do that. This bed here had garlic as well. I've just topped up this one with a bit of compost and I'll be planting that out in the next week with my monthly plan. I'm just going to do a small one for this month. The sugar snaps here are still holding on, but they do really need to come out. There's a bunch of other things going to seed here, which I'll probably use this bed for planting out next month. I've already got a few sweet potatoes popping up from last year, but I'm not ready for sweet potatoes yet. I like to get them going around November as they hog up a lot of space for too long. So I will try and hold them off as much as I can by just pulling them out as I find them. I don't fully discard them when I pull them out. I actually put them in water to get roots growing. And for one of these size beds, which is 90 centimeters by 90 centimeters, I will plant about 12 slips in here, and I found that is the best way to get the most out of my space. The purple potted peas are starting to produce, but it's really not liking the heat at all, so I'm not sure if it's going to do too well over the next few weeks. I'll let this bed just do its thing. I've let the cauliflowers go to seed. There are some beetroots that are looking good, but I can't see them popping up yet. Usually that's how I tell that beetroots are ready. They kind of pop out of the ground and let you know that they're ready to be harvested. I've got some golden beets, and I think this one here is the Early Wonder, which is one of my favorites. Our cabbage is still going here in this bed, and the ping tung long eggplant is slowly coming back to life with this warm weather. The August bed is going really well. I had pretty good germination rate on some of those really old seeds, all except some of the carrots, which I wasn't surprised as they were really old. I've harvested a lot of the lettuce already, and I've been coming in getting Swiss chard and rocket as needed. I'm hoping this warm weather will really kick these cucumbers into gear. I'm so happy that they germinated. I was a bit worried that they wouldn't. My biggest problem with this particular bed at the moment is what I thought was pak choi is actually Chinese cabbage, and it grows a lot bigger, it takes a lot longer, and it is kind of shading out my beetroots and my carrots. So I'm going to have to harvest this a lot earlier than I would normally for a Chinese cabbage, but that's fine. I would rather the beetroots because we're a little bit sick of greens at the moment. We should also be getting beans very soon from this bed, so I'm pretty happy about that. Now, the straw bale garden does not like heat at all, so I think next month I'm going to decommission it and get the garden bed up and going. The kale and the Swiss chard is fine, it's just the lettuce that is really cooking. They're really great to get going in winter, but they just dry out far too fast when it's a little bit hot. So even after dousing them with water early in the morning, you come out and everything is just looking very wilted in the middle of the day. In good news, I haven't managed to kill any of the flowers that I planted out around the fruit salad tree. I am getting close to putting a net over the entire tree. I'm just waiting for these plums to finish flowering. So I've just been netting any of the peaches and nectarines that have formed already. The fruit fly trap is working really well. I've already caught so many fruit flies. It's a little confronting how many I've actually already caught. I got this trap from Bugs for Bugs, and they said one trap is enough for a regular sized suburban block. It only catches the male, so it is part of a strategy. You'll also integrate some netting as well if you've got fruit fly problems. The bait only works for about 3 months though, so we'll have to get another one before summer hits. I'm happy to report that we've got pineapples on the way. Last year we didn't get any, but this year I have really stressed them out by moving them around. So I've got a few forming already. Hopefully we will get them before the rats this time, which is a really common problem with our pineapples. And it's devastating because they take so long. Out the back in the aquaponics, I haven't really touched it. I did pull out the mustard as the roots were starting to clog the siphon that allows the water to flood and drain, which is my biggest gripe with this particular system. It has been pumping out a lot of self-seeded lettuce for me, which is great as I need those as space fillers around the garden. In our back garden, it's doing really well. It looks really good again, which I'm happy about. The flowers in the flower bed are really on display now. The garden that I planted back in July is doing really well. We've been getting loads of produce out of this area. I've been grabbing radish as I need them. I've harvested the last of the lettuce from here, but I have been replacing with fresh lettuce every time I do that. The broccoli that I harvested out of here was so huge and amazing. I cut them on that really hot day. They probably could have been harvested a few days earlier, but we still had loads in the fridge from what I pulled out from the front garden. I'll be able to get a harvest of baby carrots in the next couple of weeks. We'll open up some more space for those other carrots to get bigger. The wicking beds were definitely standouts with that hot weather, whilst the front garden looked really wilted during the middle of the day. Out here just looked like it had just been watered. So I'm only filling this reservoir once a week, and it just makes a big time saver for this area. I still haven't gotten around to setting up the other one. It's been on the list, but with all the renovations, we kind of had to park it for a bit. I plan on putting the biennial things in here, so things that will grow over a couple of years, but they're just a little bit too small at the moment. So I'm hoping anyway, by the end of this month, we'll have this up and going. We also managed to grab some leftover ColourBond cladding from the work we're getting done on the house. So I'm hoping this will work as a cover to hide the ugly IBC frame, so stay tuned for that. The veg pod with the chilies isn't really doing much. One jalapeno sort of came back really well. One died. The bird's eyes are fine. I feel like those are indestructible here. Plus, they don't seem to get affected by fruit fly as much as the jalapenos. The garden bed with the compost. Thank you everyone to all of the suggestions in fixing this terrible clay soil. Before I planted in here, I did dump our fire pit ash in here, and I also added in the bedding from the nesting boxes from our chicken coops, and it does seem to be going okay for now. I experimented in here with going a bit early with planting zucchini, cucumber, and bean seeds. I did this back in early July, and they did grow except for the cucumbers. So I think next year I will try doing my zucchini and beans earlier. The other two beds here are just in a bit of a limbo at the moment, so I'm just trying to figure out what to do with aquaponics before I do anything with these. I don't want to plan it out and then we decide that we're moving things into this spot. The chocos got cooked in the hot weather, but this back wicking bed is going crazy. This was another bed that I bought soil for that took years to correct. It had the right texture, was lovely and loamy, but the soil itself was really alkaline. It's taken a while, but it's finally working well. At the time, I tried agricultural sulfur and loads of compost and cow manure. It could have just been time, but it really didn't quite fully come good until I dumped a ton of worm castings in here, which is where this pumpkin has come from. I've got flowers, plantain, thyme, parsley in here, along with some Swiss chard. There's also an asparagus crown in here that hasn't resurfaced yet. I did have the window to harvest my cauliflower. I really could have gotten it before it bolted to seed, but I decided that I wanted to save the seeds for this one, so I'm letting it go. The potatoes that I planted back in August are really kicking on. They're looking great. I was a bit disappointed that a lot of my seed potato that I had left over had rotted before it produced any chits. So I won't be able to plant as many as I hoped. I planted out another 2 grow bags. I still have some left, but I'm just a bit worried it's a bit hot now, but I'll probably plant them out and see what happens anyway. I do regret getting indeterminate varieties of potatoes. I like the ease of the determinate ones that you don't need to hill. You just plant it and you can get your harvest. These ones I do have to hill up to get more produce. It'll be interesting to see if it means that we get more come harvest time though. Our mulberry trees are loaded so much that they are actually looking like weeping mulberries. We've been sharing a lot with the birds, but the kids are getting handfuls when they go out there. The back food forest is very dry, but the coffee beans have just started flowering again. and are starting to load up with more beans. I do have a pawpaw forming, but the possums run this particular area, so it will be a miracle if I actually get to eat that. Our blueberries are starting to fatten up, and I'm making sure to keep the water up to them during these really hot days. Anyway, that's a rundown of everything that is growing in our garden here in early spring. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.